All right, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get started on today's notes. We're talking factoring with GCF today. That's the title to put in the notes and for the table of contents. For the warm-up, factor x squared plus 5x squared plus 2x minus 7. All right, let's see what you remember from before spring break. So first things first is I make my box. I have 5x squared minus 7 plus 2x in my chart so I can get my diagonal that's empty. I take my 5 from my x squared, that coefficient, and I multiply it with negative 7, and that gives me negative 35. In the end, I want to add up to a positive 2. Well, 5 times negative 7 is negative 35. 5 minus 7 equals negative 2. Well, if I flip that to be negative 5 times positive 7, that still works on the left side. And negative 5 plus 7 works on the right-hand side as well. So those are going to be the two numbers that I need, negative 5x and positive 7x. All right. Well, I got 5x squared and negative 5x. Greatest common factor is 5x. If I have a 5x there, 5x times 1x is 5x squared. 1x times 7 is 7x. 5x times negative 1 is negative 5x. And negative 1 times positive 7 is negative 7. So then my final answer is x minus 1 times 5x plus 7. By the way, as you see, we do have a test coming up this Thursday, and factoring will be on it. All right, so today what we're focused on is greatest common factor and adding this piece in to what we're doing now. The question is, what's the difference between just a regular factor and a greatest common factor? Well, a regular factor can be any factor of a number, of a number with a variable, any term. It can just be any given factor. Whereas the greatest common factor is the greatest number, the biggest number that those two share in common. So for instance, I got the numbers 10 and 40. Well, the factors of 10 are 1 times 10, I have 2 times 5. The factors of 40 are 1 times 40, I have 2 times 20, I have 4 times 10, there is 5 times 8. Now, when it comes to the greatest common factor, I want the biggest number that they both share in common. Well, the biggest number for 10 is 10. The biggest number for 40 is 10 that they have in common, okay? While they do share the 2's are smaller than 10. The 5's are smaller than 10. The 1's are smaller than 10. That's why 10 is the greatest common factor here. On this other side, I have 14x squared y, and I have 7xy. Well, for 14, I have 1 times 14, I have 2 times 7. For 7, I only have 1 times 7. Well, 7 is the biggest number for both. However, I notice both of these have letters. This has 2 x's and a y. This one has an x and a y. So they have an x in common, they have a y in common, which means my greatest common factor for these two is going to be 7xy. So sometimes the greatest common factor is just a single number. Sometimes it is a number in variables. So what we have to worry about now is that the first thing that I always want to look at on every problem is, do I have a greatest common factor? Is there something that I can divide out of all 3 terms? So like on this problem here, I see I have 2x squared plus 8x plus 6. Well, the greatest common factor, the single number that I can divide out of all 3 of those is the number 2. So that means I'm left with x squared plus 4x plus 3. Now here's the thing to remember, that 2 is not going to just disappear. The 2 now goes on the outside. Now here's the thing, I still have to actually find what this factors to be. So I'm still going to have to do my box whenever I have to do the GCF. It's just now that's my first step, is to check for a GCF. X squared plus 4x plus 3. I get a 3 on the left side, I get a 4 on the right side. 3 times 1 are the only pair that work. So I get x plus 3 plus 3. So my final answer is 2x plus 3, x plus 1. Notice that that 2 is still in my final answer, did not disappear. All right, so the next one, what's the greatest common factor there? If you need to, write the factors out. So for instance, split them up. Like for 12, the factors of 12 are 1 times 12. I have 2 times 6. I have 3 times 4. Those are my factors of 12. The factors of 30. Again, I'm looking for the greatest common factor. So now that I have the factors of 12, I can just focus on, well, which one of those are factors of 30? 12 is not. 6 is. 4 is not. 3 is. 2 is. And 1 is. All right. At the end, I have, again, a 12. So all 4 of those numbers are still factors of 12. 6 is then the greatest common factor. So divide everything by 6. So my factored form for now is 2y squared plus 5y plus 2. Go do my box. 2y squared plus 5y plus 2. My MA chart, I get 4 on the left, I get 5 on the right. That means 4 times 1 is my factors that go into my box. So at the top here, I'm going to get 2y. To the left here, I'm going to get 1y. I'm going to get a plus 1 here, and I'm going to get a plus 2 here. So final answer is 6, y plus 2, 2y plus 1. All right, I can show you one more. I got 4x squared plus 10x. Well, factors of 4 are 1 times 4, 2 times 2. 4 is not a factor of 10. 2 is a factor of 10, and that would be the biggest factor. So I'm going to divide each of those by 2. 2 and 2. So I get 2x squared plus 5x. But notice, they both still have an x in common. I can still divide out an x. So really, my greatest common factor is 2x. So on the inside, I would be left with 2x still plus 5. I'm going to go ahead and box that because that's my final answer. This part right here cannot be factored anymore. I'm only going to factor it if it has a square. All right, I got time for one more. So last one, I see I have the number 5. Well, the only thing that multiplies to that is 1 times 5. Do all of these multiply by 5? Yes, they do. So I'm going to divide each one of them by 5. Let's at the same time look to see any letters in common. Well, the first one has 2 x's and it has 2 y's. The second one has a single x and it has 2 y's. The last one does not have any x's, but it has 2 y's. So that means greatest common factor is 5y squared. So when I divide all this out, I start out with 5y squared, and then on the inside, I'm going to have x squared minus 2x minus 8. Again, the only part that goes inside the box is what's in parentheses. And there we go, there's our insides. And then I get an X, I get an X here, I get a +2 here and a -4 there. So final answer is 5y squared x minus 4, x plus 2. All right, that's it, guys. See you tomorrow.